Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to MBR, or as we like to call it around here, Nothing But Rants, the show where I find topics that I'm oddly passionate about and I pontificate upon them. These are not hot takes, but rather takes that I'm hot about. What's up? You really like that?
Let's shut up and grind some tape.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome into the network on a beautiful Sunday morning. Going to kick your NFL weekend off, a little nooner kick for you guys over here on the Film Guy Network before we head into that NFL slate. Little Sunday reactions pod / live stream brought to you by my insane competitive streak and friend of the show, JD Piquel, as we told you last week. Got to be dumping these opinions on Sunday if you claim to be doing this. So welcome into the show. Go ahead and hit that thumbs up button, like, subscribe, rate, review, all that good stuff for us here on the channel. All right, some of you are new. Some of you have found us, all right, as of late. We appreciate you for being here, and we hope you enjoyed today's show. I think you're going to. We got a loaded one on the docket for Sunday's reaction show. We called this Sunday service last week. Don't know if that necessarily hit home with a lot of our Southern Baptist folks. So we'll just call this one Sunday's reaction show. All right, on the docket for today's show, we got Georgia's offensive efficiency is rather staggering to me, and I can't wait to bring you some of the notes that we found on that game today after we got back. Ohio State is who we thought they were. We're going to talk a little bit about that. I see you, Mike Norvell. I see you out there in Florida State. Stanford, we'll be real quick with Florida State. Stanford is a fighting football team. Okay, they are. But what the hell, Washington? 2 weeks in a row. We'll talk a little bit about that. And oh no, OU. Oh no, OU. A little strugglesome there for the Sooners on the road against Kansas. Not even strugglesome. Took some L to Lance Leipold's football team. We'll talk about that ball game. Oregon making their point and finding their way into the discussion to join Michigan and Georgia in this category of football team. What am I talking about? We'll talk to you a little bit about it later. But I wanted to start tonight's show with one of the goofiest football box scores I've ever studied in my life. As I'm driving home last night from Jacksonville, yes, I drove home last night from Jacksonville. I left Jacksonville about 9:30 last night. I pulled into the driveway this morning at 3:05. All right. My babies jumped on my face at about 7:30. Whoops, sorry, hit the desk too hard. My babies jumped on my face at about 7:30 this morning. All right, so we had a venti from the Starbucks folks over there. But no, on my way home from Jacksonville last night, I'm like peeping this UNC Georgia Tech game. I'm like, damn it, Mac Brown defense. That boy Gene Chizik finna do it again. He finna do it again. They finna have one of them. And I see they give up 46 points. And I saw like a lot of the fourth quarter, both on my Twitter timeline and my notifications. And I may or may not have had a laptop up in the passenger seat. Don't tell the feds. All right. But anyways, I was kind of like obvious and aware of what was going on. And then I looked at this stuff this morning, guys. This is like, I know there's scoregamis in NFL football. This is some shit I ain't never seen in college football. Maybe it has happened. Maybe it hadn't. But listen to this. And when I tell you these stats, understand and remember that Georgia Tech scored 46 points in this football game, okay? Listen to this. In the first quarter, Georgia Tech had 3 possessions. They turned it over on downs twice, and they had a 5-play punt. All right? Oh, no, a 3-play punt. They punted out 3 and out, all right? In the third quarter, so that's 1 quarter of the football game, they turned it over on downs twice, punted once. All right. In the third quarter of the football game, they had a 1-play pick. All right. Had 1 play, threw an interception. They had a 5-play punt. They scored 46 points on North Carolina in 2 quarters. In 6 minutes of the second quarter, or excuse me, In 6.5 minutes of the fourth quarter, they scored 3 touchdowns. In 7.5 minutes of the second quarter, they scored 4 times. In 13.5 minutes, Georgia Tech scored 46 points on North Carolina last night. How? What are you doing? Holy crap. Holy crap, Mac Brown. Like, I know, and Gene Chizik, you get a lot of this too, but like, I know everybody like craps on, and Lincoln's gonna get his due this week. We're gonna get after that on the national show during the national hours during the week, because I think it's gonna become a national topic of like, bro, I know we talking about you going to the NFL, but like, what are we doing? We're losing to Cal, or we're squeaking out wins against Cal. Like, what are we doing? So we're gonna talk about that a little bit later. And he gets crapped on for his defense all the time. Like, this is the greatest quarterback to ever play at North Carolina. All right. And they're going to just right away with that. Now, let's talk about Georgia. Great win, Georgia Tech. You got to storm the field. All right. But you dominate North Carolina. Don't know why that is. I think y'all won 17 of the last 22 against North Carolina, something like that down there for Georgia Tech. So good work there. Hey, little hat tip, how you doing to Buster Faulkner as well. I mean, my Lord, I'd love to sit down and talk with that offensive staff and just be like, boys, what happened? What we do right? What we do wrong? Because it's a tale of two halves, but not even. It was like a quarter coin flip, okay, for Georgia Tech and deciding to be what team they wanted to be this weekend. And they come out with a win. My sister, going to be a Georgia Tech grad, hopefully this spring. Bailey, don't know when you're going to do it. But hey, whenever you do, little golf clap to you. All right. But come on now. I mean, shit. Glad you got to storm a field last night, but come on. You know what I mean? Get up out of there for once. Just kidding. Congratulations on your impending degree from a very, very fine institution, by the way. Hey, Georgia's offensive efficiency is the word. Efficiency. It's staggering. And I'll be honest. I've done a lot of good work. I've done a lot of good work in this industry, and I pat myself on the back a ton. All right. When I hit, I'll let you know I hit. When I miss, I'll let you know I miss. We have segments called Where I Was Right and Where I Was Wrong. All right. But I've never been more right. I've never been more right on a harder thing to predict than this right here. Coming into the season, I said Georgia would lead the country in third down efficiency. Georgia is indeed number 1 in college football in third down conversion rate at 57.78% of their third downs. Think about this. I came into the season thinking that a football team, okay, who lost Darnell Washington, lost a first rounder and a third rounder at both sides of their offensive line at tackle, okay, lost an NFL running back, an NFL quarterback, an NFL coordinator, and brought in 2 new transfers at the wide receiver position. I thought that football team, and I predicted that football team would lead the country in third down conversion rates in July. Now, how in the hell in July, considering all of that, would I sit there and say that team's going to lead the nation in third down conversion rate? How? What on earth would make me think that? Okay. Well, they have a quarterback who never makes bad decisions. Okay. He might every once in a while put the ball at risk. Kirby's talked about that. But in terms of, I'm going to put the ball in the right person's hands, I'm going to take what the defense gives me every single time. Not only that, I'm going to control the offensive pace, and we're going to be in the right place so often that we are so great at third down because we're so great on first and second down. You see, this evaluation in this hypothesis going into the season was not just about how great of a thrower he was going to be on third down, which, by the way, Carson Beck's been borderline historic on third down for completion percentage, which you would imagine checks out because he's completing like 75% of his balls anyway, 73% of his balls anyway. So, yeah, he's going to be great on third down as well as completion percentage because he's just great at completing the football. But what I knew and what I understood about a processor, okay, on the college level, if you consistently make the right decisions, all right, you're going to consistently be not only great on third down, but you're going to be consistently great on first and second down. Georgia took 72 offensive snaps yesterday. 72. And if you take out the knee before the half, and if you take out the victory formation at the end of the game, they had 3 offensive plays out of 72 that were tackled at, near, or behind the line of scrimmage. Okay, 3 plays for negative results out of 72. Those garnered negative 3 yards. They were not 15-yard or 7-yard TFL sacks. They were not. They were -1s. Carson Beck had a -1. Kendall Milton had a -1 run. Dejon Edwards had a -1 run. In 72 offensive snaps. If I'm an NFL evaluator, and I talked to some yesterday, if I'm an NFL evaluator and I'm watching Georgia's offense right now, I'm seeing a 6'4", 225-pound dude that can make every single throw, not only in terms of arm talent, but anticipation, accuracy, and decision-making all in one, right? And the only thing that would ever scare me about him right now is that we've only seen it 9 times. You know what I mean? That's it. We've only seen 8 times. We've only seen it 8 times. That's it. And I tweeted about this today or yesterday. Or no, it was yesterday. I don't know. It's all blurred right now. Tweeted about this yesterday. The most impressive thing about Carson Beck to me is that he went from a 4-star quarterback whose senior year, I believe through 7 games, had more touchdowns than interceptions. Granted, the roster at Mandarin had been completely depleted his senior year. Nonetheless, wins a state title junior year, has a really bad season and kind of has to play hero ball his senior year, a la, maybe like a Pat Mahomes at Texas Tech, like really putting the ball at risk, and then gets to Georgia, right? And has to sit 3 years, 4 years, 3 years, has to sit 3 years, okay, and do all of his development behind closed doors. All right, and then gets to roll out there his first year as a starter, and from week 1, just has all the answers. If you've been paying attention on tape, dude has all the answers, just getting to the right read every single time, never looking panicked, never patting the ball, never holding it too long. If he's taking a sack, he's literally eating it, like coach is asking him to do. Protect the ball, sometimes sack's okay, right? All these good things from week 1. So whatever Carson Beck did to develop behind closed doors for 3 years, it's one of the many things that needs to be studied about the University of Georgia. And look, people will get into the mentions and they'll be like, well, Brooks, he played against the #1 defense in the country for all those years. Yeah, in practice, when I get to go out there and with no caution for the wind at all, A, I'm not going to get hit. B, if I throw a pick, nobody sees it but the coach. C, I ain't playing no way. So what's it matter? Completely without regard, just get to go out there and play. Yeah, you get to see the speed of the game. All that. He developed into a completely efficient, great decision maker, tremendous processor like that behind closed doors with nobody seeing it. And he's the second best quarterback in the SEC right now. All right. And from an NFL prospects perspective, he's probably the best. Y'all gonna see it. Y'all gonna start waking up. Everybody in the national media after this week, I guarantee, because it was the Brock Bowers show, so everybody thought, but they weren't watching. Now they'll have to turn the tape on, and they'll see him throwing balls with defenders on their back, like with their back turned to him, and stopping wide receivers. And they'll actually pay attention to post-game press conferences, like the interview I had with Ladd McConkey, where you're listening to him discuss and explain a year 7, year 8 NFL concept. Defender's back is to me. Wide receiver's eyes are on me. I can throw this ball wherever he and I decide, because he's looking at me, the defenders aren't. So while he's running across the field, I'm going to throw it on his back left hip so he'll stop, turn around, and know to go the other way, because I can see the defenders. He can't. He's looking at the ball. Sunday shit, all up and down the field for Carson Beck, and you're going to see it more and more. Again, people are going to talk about it more. Now, on to our next one. Ohio State is who we thought they were, all right, as of like 4 weeks ago. As of Notre Dame, I realized, oh, damn, that's a run-the-ball, play defense football team. They look like a spread version of what Michigan has been. This offense and defense that's going to control the lines of scrimmage and just beat the shit out of you for 4 quarters. That's all they want to do. That's it. A Ryan Day-led football team has one of the most disruptive front fours, one of the best linebacking tandems, okay, a defensive back core that is getting it's balancing back some injuries, but it's getting really, really confident. All right. And an offense that's predicated off the run game and one wide receiver right now. That's it. That's it. Now they struggled, but I could turn this analysis into Brooks was right again, because I told you they got a quarterback problem. It was clear as day. I mean, from Indiana game on, had a protecting the quarterback problem and had a quarterback problem. Great in the run game, really, really deceptive. Their run scheme's elite. Their spread run game, I'd put it up there with anybody not named Ole Miss. I love Ole Miss's spread run game. I think it's really, really unique. But their spread run game without a running quarterback right now, I mean, even without TreVeyon Henderson against Purdue 2 weeks ago, they won that football game because they had a creative run game and a great defense. I think Kyle McCord threw for like 230 yards in that Purdue game. You go to the Penn State game, they win that football game because of Marvin Harrison. They didn't even have TreVeyon Henderson. So I think the more and more I watch Ohio State, the more and more I look at it and I say, you know what? I like to make jokes about Ryan Day. I do. It's funny. It's funny. It's fun. It's goofy. He's a goofy guy. But let's be honest. He dyes his beard, all that good stuff. Everyone makes jokes about Ryan Day. Tough team. I make jokes about Ryan Day. But the fact of the matter is, the dude is finding ways and recipes to win football games that we did not think he could do. It's a defensive-led rushing attack football team. And also, I think it's a huge credit to him to continue to call offensive plays while also just completely revamping his football team. Their culture, their identity, completely different. And he's still calling plays. They're extremely well coached. They're well disciplined. They line up correctly. They execute correctly. They are physical, all while he's still calling plays. That's extremely hard to do. Also, I give you credit when we know as a national audience and as a national analyst, as an opposing head coach, whoever, we know for a fact going into any football game against Ohio State, we got to take away TreVeyon Henderson. We got to take away Marvin Harrison. And somehow the dude continues every single week to make defensive coordinators have their fan bases thinking they're stupid and they didn't put a game plan together. TreVeyon Henderson and Marvin Harrison Jr. combined for 330 yards yesterday of the 407 total yards of offense. This ain't basketball, folks. This is not basketball. Three players don't account for 75% of the offense, okay, like they do in hoops. You got three great players. They'll score 75 points. We just got to scrum up 26 from the other group of guys. We'll win this sucker 101-94. We'll go home. That's not how football works. Football, historically, isn't a across-the-board 11-man sport. This dude's managing to find ways to play one-on-one football, and I don't know how he's doing it because, again, everyone and their mama goes into games against Ohio State and goes, we got to stop 18. No shit. How? He still had 130 yards yesterday, and Emeka Egbuka ain't played for 2 weeks. So it's nuts, man. It's nuts. And look, back to the quarterback discussion, if the label game manager, right? Game manager. Just don't turn the ball over. Don't lose us the game. Just go out. Go let us win it. All right, the rest of the team's going to win it. That's where game manager comes from. Game managers have won national titles with far worse around them. Okay, with far worse around them. And a whole lot less talented wide receivers. You know what I mean? Like, they'll be all right. Speaking of being all right, excuse me, hold on. It's that time of year, bro. It's that time of year. I got that funk and that gunk up in the shiz. Just drainage all in me right now. Hey, Florida State, mature win. And you should have mature wins, right? I think a lot was said about how Norvell, kind of got transfers into this program and went out and got great players, and he did. He retained a lot too. The defensive end could have gone to the league last year, right? Jordan Travis, I know he didn't have tremendous NFL aspirations last year, probably has much better ones this year, but he is a fifth, sixth-year senior, right? This is an extremely mature football team. And I saw that this weekend. In this football game, they showed up and they just whipped Wake Forest's ass, all right? Particularly on the defensive side of the football. All right. Just absolutely physical, just getting after you, beating you. And offensively, wow, just tremendously explosive, threateningly explosive, frighteningly explosive. Okay. In the first half of alone, they had plays of 80 yards, 38 yards, 29 yards, 23 yards, and 33 yards. So that's already like 250 yards of total offense on like 5 plays. Okay. I still have a fear. And we talked to TJ Pittenger about this on the channel earlier. Like, somebody's gonna cover them, right? You would imagine. Does anybody have 2 NFL corners? Because that's what this offense strikes me to be. It strikes me to be we have 2 NFL wide receivers. We have a quarterback that can run. We've got some other gadget type weapons around him that we are super creative with in terms of screen game, extension of the run game, all this other stuff. But our offensive identity revolves around 4 and 14. All right. So what happens the day 4 and 14 and 13 are just for some reason off? All right. Y'all can, here's the good news about Florida State. In the ACC right now, they've shown and will show that if that ever happens, they can win a 21-17 football game. They can, because they've got enough of a defensive presence in that conference right now to do it. But I was more impressed with, hey, we all thought like, easy to show up flat. They didn't. They put up points quickly in that first half of that football game. Washington, I know you think nobody's out there watching you. And I know you thought it was a late night Pac-12 game against Stanford, and it's Stanford, right? Now I was watching. We were paying attention. And it's 2 weeks in a row now, right? It was a really, really bad Arizona State football team last week, and we could sit on here as a defender of that offense and as an admirer of that offense. This is the same channel that told you they wouldn't get stopped in between the 20s. Well, as soon as I said that shit, Arizona State puts them in a box. All right. Now, granted, it was raining, it was cold, it was whatever. We can do whatever. We can make whatever excuses. But that's 2 weeks in a row. Last week it was offense got put in a box. This week it's, there's that Washington defense that we were all worried about. There's that Washington defense that we all thought would Pac-12 it, and they almost Pac-12 it. Now, this game ended up being a 9-point victory, but it was not. It was not. This football game should have been a loss, in my opinion. All right. If Stanford calls a tremendous 4th and short call to convert the sticks, and it might have been a touchdown if the guy catches it. Tight end drops it, thinking about running after the catch. On 4th and 2, would have converted the sticks and would have probably put Stanford on top in that football game late in the 4th quarter. And then Washington gets the ball back and just adds a little late cushion score on. This was a very, very tightly contested football game from the midway through the 2nd quarter on until the last whistle. And this is Stanford. All right, so here's the deal. We got a new competition on this channel, it sounds like, for worst Power 5 football team in Power 5 football. It's no longer Stanford. Stanford keeps showing up and fighting. So we're going to have to find another new biggest loser on this network. So help me out in the chat on that one. Also, hit that thumbs up button. We got a lot of people in here. If you're enjoying this, all right, if you're enjoying these Sunday reaction shows, please keep showing up and supporting them, right? This was kind of our kickoff into a national, like, people actually watched our national takes, not just the regular people that watch our other takes. People actually watched our national takes last Sunday. So if y'all show up and y'all support the stuff that this network does, guess who works their ass off to make sure we bring it to you? These guys. All right. We definitely do it. 2 weeks in a row, Washington, not dealing it, not loving it. All right. And the late pick from Penix was not ideal either in the red zone. I know you're throwing a one-on-one ball to Roma Dunze, one of the best wide receivers in the country, but looked a little touchy for me. Oh no. OU. I thought you were going to do typical OU. Typical OU is we laid a dud last week. We kind of looked like crap last week against UCF. Was way in a 4th quarter battle when we shouldn't have been at home. And normally for a Big 12 Oklahoma football team, that means the next week when you play a lesser opponent, you box the shit out of them. You come in ready to play. You're all up. Even on the road, you handle business. That is not what happened this week. Kansas gets the dub 38-33 at home. I think the first time they've beaten Oklahoma at home in like 27 years. something like that. We'll talk about Lance Leipold here in a second. Actually, I want to do this. Let's talk about Lance Leipold first because this analysis is really quick, and then we'll talk about Oklahoma. Please don't pull a Matt Campbell. Please do not pull a Matt Campbell. Kansas is great. Football school is better. All right. Iowa State is great. Detroit Lions job for $75 million is better. Please do not pull a Matt Campbell. And for your morality clauses, stick around in Kansas because they believed in you first. Ain't no loyalty in this game, brother. Go chase a bag. All right. That's all I'm going to tell you, Lance. I know you love coming out and playing for or coaching Kansas. And that's great. And after the win, you talked about hopefully this will give you some recruiting momentum. Hopefully you'll have some recruiting momentum at your next school that's going to pay you $3.5, $4, $5, $6 million a year. Just a thought. Let's get back to OU. It's just year 2 for Brent Venables. So this is unfair to me. It's unfair to me to have expectations for Oklahoma that I didn't have for them preseason. Preseason, this was a football team that damn near went 500 last year, that kept losing one-score games, that could not play defense or handle anything up front at the lines of scrimmage. All right? And they handle their business. Dylan Gabriel looks great. They beat Texas, and all of a sudden we're like expecting them to be week in and week out consistently good and great. I don't know. We expect them to bounce back like great teams do when they lay a dud the week before and manage to win like great teams do. I don't know, right? We saw a great team do this earlier in the year, right? Georgia kind of struggles on the road against Auburn. They come in the next week and beat the ever-loving shit out of Kentucky. We expected to see that from a good team in Oklahoma. It didn't happen, all right? So that's Big 12 in. All right, it's also Oklahoman. But here's the deal, and I think Joel Klatt said it best when I was listening to him the other day. Oklahoma relies on something that you can't week in, week out rely upon. And right now, that's quarterback play and the passing attack. All right, so when a team comes out and you start out a road game with a pick 6 to start, and Kansas plays drop coverage all game, well, guess what? Now you got to run the football, and they did a good enough job running the football, right? They consistently ran the rock, only threw it 19 times, played patient, did everything. But when you play that style of offense now, you're limiting your own possessions, and you're limiting the amount of times that the opposition has to be on the defense on the field, right? So, I saw that you could see just based off of the reaction from Oklahoma, they're like, "Oh, we don't want to win this way. We don't want to play this way." And you'll also see that when you need everyone kind of knows what they need, right? They need a couple of more years at line of scrimmage recruitment. That's what they need. They need more David Stones, right? They need David Stone to get to campus, develop, show that he can be a first-round draft pick like Christian Wilkins did, right? Because Christian Wilkins led to Miles Murphy in a pseudo fashion, right? At Clemson. Cleveland Farrell led to Brian Brzee. You follow me? You understand the process here, right? You have to get the big one, all right? Develop the big one, and you'll get some more. It's why, honestly, I thought Missouri was going to have a shot at I can't believe I continue to go into this. The wide receiver that just committed lately, okay, because they developed Luther Burden, the kid from St. Louis. Can't believe I'm drawing a blank. But anyways, when you show proof of concept, I just assume you'll get the next one that you're in a heated battle for. So they've just got to continue to develop at the lines of scrimmage. Now, last point I have today. Oregon is applying. They're applying. They filled out the application. It's FedEx 2-day delivery in the mail for acceptance into complete football team category. All right. There's only 2 teams in college football. Ryan Wingo. There's only 2 football teams in college football right now that check they can win in multiple facets of the game. They can run the ball. They can throw the ball. They got good defense. They can get after the quarterback if you actually want to develop drop back pass, right? There's only 2 football teams in the sport right now that have solid quarterback play, well-rounded entire rosters. Michigan and Georgia. Those are 2 bona fides. They're over here in this category. All right. Unless you're some hot take artist, when the college football rankings come out, I would imagine you see that. You will see most people have Georgia and Michigan over here in this category, and then a bunch of teams with some questions. I think Oregon is making their way over into this. Oh, no, they just had a bad road loss, It wasn't even a bad road loss. They had some bad, things go their way, didn't maybe make some correct decisions in some critical moments. Probably should have kicked a field goal or two against a really good Washington team who played great that day. Not a bad loss. Pretty flawless one-loss football team. Listen to this stat. Did you know that Oregon doesn't have a single football game on the schedule this year where they don't have at least 110 yards rushing? And they only have one football game in which they didn't throw for at least 250 yards. And that was this past weekend against Utah when they were handling that football game. They're up 21-3 midway through the second quarter. So, yeah, they took their foot off the gas and just started toting the rock. They would have thrown for 350 yards if they wanted to. Oregon throws it as well as anybody. Oregon runs as well as anybody. And Oregon covers as well as anybody. Oregon's front four is as physical, as big, as menacing as anybody. Oregon's a well-rounded football team, ladies and gentlemen. And that was a well-rounded recap show. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you hit that thumbs up button, like, subscribe, rate, and review him. We'll see you back tomorrow for not only film study, but we'll have a live hour of local hour Georgia talk. We'll have a live hour of national talk with the boys here in the studio. I love you. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button. We'll see you.